What is going on, guys? DBG here, and today we are going to be going over the top 10 level 40, well, not top 10, well, we're ranking them from worst to best. There is exactly 10, so yeah, it's technically the top 10. We're going to be ranking the level 40 cards from worst to best. So if you guys are new to the channel, subscribe. We upload more MyTEAM content here than anywhere else, and we're going to be the best place for NBA 2K22 MyTEAM news. Let's try to hit 273,000 subscribers by the end of NBA 2K21. That would be absolutely insane. And also, lads, if you guys have not yet, go subscribe to the basketball channel, B-Ball Daily. I have been uploading NBA videos or videos about basketball in general every single day. The only day I missed was yesterday, and the reason for that is, I mean, I got the second jab, and I'm still wrecked after it. I'm still wrecked, but I'll be grand tomorrow. I'll be grand. So anyway, at number 10, Dr. J. And this is all going to be based on how they were at their time, by the way, not how they are now. Because if it's how they are now, you can very much just go first. Season 1 reward is useless. But Dr. J, he came out on the 16th of July. He was not a top 10 shooting guard in the game for his time. 9 on offense, 9 on defense, but overall 6'6". So he was a 6'6" player. I get he had 70 Hall of Fame badges, but that really did not matter. So like if you look at all players, guys that could play at the shooting guard position, sort by day added. So you see, the day he came out, oh my god, there's so many. Okay, so he came out on this day right here. So before he came out, there was already the likes of Rudy, Tracy McGrady, Paul George, Brandon Roy, probably not better. Penny, debatably better. Then you also had the likes of Michael Jordan, Kobe Bryant, LeBron James you could play the two. Carmelo probably wasn't better. But then there was the likes of Terry Dishinger, who were basically the same card. And Terry wasn't even the best. You could argue Cam Reddish. There are so many guys you could argue. I probably wouldn't have him in my top 10. I really wouldn't. And that's the thing. This guy came out. He came out quite late. He really came out quite late, like. And for that reason, the fact that he came out late and he was pretty decent puts him in here at number 10. At number 9, we've got the new Kevin Durant. This was a close one because 9, 8, and 7 were really close in my opinion. I think Dr. J was definitely the worst, but Kevin Durant, a big reason why he's the lowest is because he's like 100k. Like, you can buy the card. Like, it's a lot easier to get 100k and 150,000 XP. Like, you're barely even profiting. You have to buy a bunch of players to get Kevin Durant. Like, you legitimately can just buy KD. It probably takes about 30 hours or so to get KD. But like, if you just put those 30 hours into Triple Threat offline or Triple Threat online, you've made enough money for 3 KDs. You will have more MT you'll have enough MT to buy KD on your road to KD. For that reason, this guy has to be. You could easily argue him at the bottom, but in terms of in-game, it's close between him and the next two. Then, number 8, we've got Vinsanity. This guy just wasn't very good, was he? Like 6'6", 6'9" wingspan. I have this Vince. I don't like this Vince. I do not like this Vince. 97 speed, 97 acceleration, 97 3 ball, 99 driving dunk, 97 lateral quickness, 97 perimeter defense. Also got range extender, clamps, hard curvature interceptor. He had everything. But I mean, the guy came out in season 7. Like, is this guy that much better than the Zion Williamson point guard? I don't really think so. But like, if you look at the same day as he came out, is he that much better than RJ Barrett? I don't think so. And I get it, you can get this guy in 24 hours, but still, he was probably a top 5 2 guard in the game just about when he came out. So for that reason, I'm keeping him. For that reason, he's going ahead of like Kevin Durant, but still, he was not great. By the end of the season, my god, this card was not good. Then we have J.R. Smith. I want to put this guy lower. I really do. It's my biggest regret. It is my biggest regret going for this card, because that's because I didn't go for Vince. If I went for Vince, going for Vince would be my biggest regret. J.R. Smith was good at his time. The problem was that they released Kevin Porter Jr. in the game, who was the same damn card, who was the same card as J.R. Smith. But he was 6'10", 6'10", 6'10" wingspan. Basically perfect stats and badges. Could play point guard. And he was just solid. He was just solid. Like, he was... Maybe, you could maybe make the argument he was like the number 2 point guard in the game when he came out. Like, by the time people were able to get him, I'm pretty sure people had already got Grant Hill. And Grant Hill was way better. And you could argue him at number 2 with like that Luka from season 5 with... I think he was better than point guard Kobe. But yeah, J.R. Smith was... He was not it. He was a big regret for me. I highly regret going for him because I literally used him in my squad for... I can't remember who was the first person to replace him. I can't think of how little time I used J.R. Smith in my squad. So I'm just going to have a look at include secondary position point guards, date added. And I definitely replaced J.R. Smith with Justice Winslow. J.R. Smith definitely did not start for me. Justice Winslow started for me over J.R. Smith. I can confidently say that one. Justice Winslow started for me over J.R. Smith. Obviously, I didn't have Peyton. Moody, I didn't come in yet. The 19th of May, which was like 2 weeks after I got him, I had Tyreek Evans and Manu Ginobili in. So, like, he didn't even last 2 weeks in my squad. He wasn't bad, but the guy did not last 2 weeks in my team, and for that reason, I can't justify putting him any higher. Then we have got Luka Doncic. Luka Doncic is still in my team. He's still in my team. And I think that the top 5 were all arguably the best cards in the game when they came out. So for that reason, Luka can't be here. But I mean, Luka's still run. I know a lot of great players that still run Luka. Luka's an invincible player with Dante X and base. Is he as good as the LeBron James cards that came out with X and base? Probably not. But I mean, this guy was good. This guy was really, really good, lads. He was really good. He was a shooter. He could handle the ball a lot. His defense wasn't horrific. It wasn't good, but it wasn't absolutely terrible. And he was an all-around solid player. So Luka Doncic in at number 6. And now we have got the big 5. Seasons 1 through 5. When the season rewards were really... Level 40 rewards are really the best. Like, Season 6 was the first time they made it easy. People got it within a week because they got Tyronn Lue. And then, like, obviously, you could get Luka day 1. You could get Vince day 1. You could get KD day 1. You could get Dr. J day 1. But number 5, we got D-Rob. D-Rob, you could not get D-Rob till, like, quite close to the end of the season. But he was 7'1" with a 7'5" wingspan. He was the best center, and it was not close when he came out. He wasn't a difficult card to get either, because he came out in Season 5. It probably... I was about to say it was really easy. It actually probably took me about 45 hours to get him. Which at the time was nothing, because it used to take 100 hours. Like, it legitimately used to take 100 hours. But it used to take 6 weeks. So you had 100 hours. It was about 2 hours a day grinding to get the level 40s. I reckon Steph was probably close to 150 hours. Like, Steph was so bad, that grind. But, like, 91 speed, 91 acceleration, 93 ball, pro dribble sigs, D-Rob based on quick, which I really like. Only gold range, but still gold range at the time was great for center. All the defensive badges. It wasn't even close. When this guy came out, until the start of Season 6, which was... Pretty sure Season 6 was... I think it was about 3 or 4 weeks where you could get this guy before Season 6. And then Season 6 came out with Kareem and Wilt. But like D-Rob again. D-Rob was my starting center till halfway through Season 7. I can't remember exactly who it was that replaced D-Rob. I think it might have been Bill Russell, honestly. Or it was like... I got rid of D-Rob when I was able to use Bol and I was able to use Pokashevsky, those type of guys. I was able to just... When the rim running centers became a thing is when I stopped using D-Rob. But until then, he was unbelievable. I do not regret going for him. I didn't get any of the first 4, and I don't necessarily regret it, but they are the number 4 through 1. And at number 4, we got Dwayne Wade. D-Wade was the best point guard in the game at the time. He had 90 off his 98 defense overall. Only came with gold Showtime, and they eventually gave him Showtime dunks, but he's got Pro 1, Pro 3, only slasher dribble style. This guy is number 4 because he was a trash can on Next Gen. He was so bad on Next Gen. The guy could not hit a shot, lads. His release was so ugly on Next Gen, but it was chicken on current gen. 90 steal, 93 lateral, 95 driving dunk. He had gold range extender. He had all the key defensive badges, at least on like gold or silver. And he had the best chase down animations in the game, and they weren't close. D-Wade chase down, we're absolutely crazy. But now the big three. This is going to be a controversial one. At number 3, we have Kawhi Leonard. Kawhi Leonard had more longevity than 1 or 2, but you could argue like people only realized. It's hard to explain. This is the way Kawhi is, because Kawhi's not an offensive option really. Kawhi had the longest longevity while being one of the worst for their time. Like most people in season 4 were more hyped for Terry Dishinger than Kawhi Leonard. They were more hyped for Terry than Kawhi. Even the ones that got Kawhi. A lot of people said at the time Terry was better, but obviously Terry hasn't stood the test of time. But Kawhi, he had gold steady, a lot of great defensive badges. He could curry. He had the Ray Allen based on quick, Pro 2, Pro 5 behind the back, and was the best defensive player in the game. At that stage, there really were not that many great 2 guards. There really weren't. Like, I'm trying to think of who played the 2 during Season 5. Like, when he came out, he actually got updated at one stage. But, like, there weren't that many great 2 guards in Season 4, and he really was. He really was the best. But because he wasn't a primary option, he actually got better as the seasons went on. Like, going into Season 6, he was still on a lot of people's teams that had him. And people were still using him. A lot of people were still using him going into Season 7, honestly. Like, you could argue, and you're probably right if you were saying that this Kawhi Leonard is better than this Vince Carter and this J.R. Smith. You're probably right, honestly. That Kawhi was that, stood the test of time that much. And he was a great cone. Great cone. But then, number 2 and number 1. This was actually a tough one. This was a tough one. Because one of these guys was the most OP player we have ever seen early in the game. But there were alternatives that were somewhat similar. The other one of these cards won games by themselves, but was not quite as OP. If you matched up 1-to-1, could not do too much damage. And there were there was one specific matchup for him that was better. So, and also one of them lasted quite a bit longer. I think I might change this one last minute. Do I? So my initial draft had Blake 2, Curry 1. My initial draft had Blake Curry number 2, had Steph Curry number 1. And I'm considering changing it. Screw it. Tied first place, because I can't separate them, is Steph Curry and Blake Griffin. And let me explain why. So first of all is Steph Curry. Steph Curry was the best player in the game. He was the best player in the game on Next Gen, because he's the best player in the game on Next Gen until like January. Because if you guys don't know, the speed patch on Next Gen only came in around the 250k time. Like, this is why everyone talks about how Next Gen was so good before that. And then he was saying, oh no, it was always that bad, it's just the better cards. No, trust me. Like, we had guys like Pink Diamond, Zach LaVine before Christmas, who had all the SIGs, all the like cheesy stuff. And they were worse before Christmas against being guarded by Kyle Korver than, say, the Amethyst Zach LaVine was. Like, the Amethyst Zach LaVine could be guarded by a 99 and cook them nowadays, but back then, it was harder to cook a bronze player with the 96 overall Zach LaVine, or 95 overall LaVine, who was just better at everything, slightly better at everything. The speed patch ruined my team. But along with the speed patch, right before that came the fade patch. Steph Curry fadeaways were the most unguardable thing on Next Gen. So he had he had some of the best longevity on Next Gen. But Steph had like gold clamps, pretty good lateral. He had a 98 3-ball, hot range extender, and he had the fadeaways. Again, on current gen, once you get takeover, every fadeaway went in with Steph Curry. Steph Curry was the most dominant player. He was most people's primary offense early in the game. And until people realized how to abuse Showtime, and realistically, even people that didn't know that, Steph Curry was worst case scenario depending on your play style coming off the bench for Stockton. But if you weren't abusing Showtime, you were starting Steph Curry. Again, people were starting Steph Curry till nearly Christmas. And then there was Derrick Rose, who probably, for some people, pushed Steph Curry out of their teams. But then, there's Blake Griffin. Blake Griffin. This guy right here. Off Showtime. You could give him range extender. You could give him clamps. And he had quick first step. Only 72 lateral quickness and only 85 speed. But that did not matter. The guy had 83 ball handle. He had the normal 2 escape, which on next gen meant he was side deciding on people. He had the pro 1 behind the back. Blake Griffin release, which they, instead of giving him Blake Griffin on quick, they just sped up Blake Griffin on normal. Like, we all thought Blake Griffin was going to be garbage because we were all shooting around with this Blake Griffin right here, and his release was terrible. But then 2K changed what Blake Griffin's release was right before this card came out. And then we saw how chicken this card was. There was no counter. You could kind of counter by playing Draymond. If you did not have Draymond, Blake was beating you. And Blake bullied Draymond, by the way. Like, Blake bullied Draymond Green. The only way to stop Blake Griffin was by sacrificing your center. Like, I used to have a shot blocking center with clamps on the end of my bench. Because this was back when very few centers had clamps. You could just run by people. But most people had to run a Buck Williams or a Bill Russell if they didn't have Draymond to combat Blake. Because if you put on a giant like Dikembe, he'd hit snatchback threes on you. If you put on a smaller center like or a smaller, quicker center, he bullied him. There was no counter to Blake other than Blake himself. Likes of Draymond was like 300k because of this. He was so difficult to stop. Until season 3. Until about halfway through season 3, which was a month later when Wayne Embry came out. Like, when Wayne Embry came out, Wayne Embry was slightly worse. He was a better defensive Blake with a worse jump shot. Like, you could argue Wayne Embry was in there over Blake. You definitely could. Like, Wayne Embry was the counter. But until Wayne Embry came out, you pretty much lost if you were facing Blake Griffin and a competent player. Because at least with Steph, there was Darren Williams and John Stockton. Were they as good? No. But they were somewhat comparable. With Blake Griffin, there was nobody. There was nobody that could guard him. If you knew what you were doing with Blake, it was basically have Blake Griffin, attack basket with Blake Griffin plus attacking basket with Blake Griffin equals wins. You just won automatically. Like, I used to hate playing against Blake, again, as I said, because I used to literally have to sacrifice my center. Like, I liked 3-point shooting centers, and there was no 3-point shooting center that could deal with Blake. Off my bench, that is. I used to start Draymond, and I used to try, but there were times when I used to literally have to sacrifice centers. My No Money Spent series, that was it. Whenever I play on my No Money Spent series, I used to have to sacrifice my centers. Because at least on my main account, I had Draymond. But yeah, this is why it's 1A, 1B. Steph Curry was more OP offensively for a longer time. But there was a period where if you had Blake and you knew what you were doing, you were going to win every game. So anyway, yeah, that's pretty much it. That's the video. Thank you guys for watching. Please like, comment, and subscribe.